From Cornwall to Birmingham and Johnston and Bexhill, here's Ruben Spire on the radio.
Hello to Jayna Jennings. How are you today?
Hi, I'm so good. Thank you for having me on. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for letting me interview you today. So, can you tell me what was it like going into the recording studio for the first time?
Oh, for the first time? Okay, I think I was 16 or 17 when I really started recording. I had like gone into a studio when I was like 12 and just recorded with a guitar. Like I didn't do anything special. It was just like a day where I went in and played some songs. So I thought that I knew what I was doing. But like when I was 16, I went in to make my first CD, like my first album. And it was a little bit daunting at first because I had never really tried. I had like played with a click or like a metronome, but when you're recording with a click and you're already nervous because it's like your first time recording, and also that there's people in the room that you want to impress and stuff, it was like, oh, this is a little bit freaky, but it ended up being a really great experience. It took a learning curve, but now I feel really at home in the studio, and it's something that I kind of look at like for my music. It's like I love the recording process as much as I love performing it. Like I love the production like process to go through with songs. So when I'm writing, I'm already thinking about like what's the first thing I need to have done before I can get into the studio with a song, because I love it so much now.
So, can you tell me more about your first EP that released called Safe and Sound?
Yeah. Okay. So when I was 9, I had my first performance. It was because I had decided I wanted to be a singer. Like I knew it from like when I was like 6 years old. And so my cousin she owned like a music store, and she would have bands come in and play on like Saturday nights, I think. And they were bluegrass bands, so I would go sing in intermission. So I got my start like singing at bluegrass shows. So because I didn't know a lot of like the classic bluegrass stuff when I was like 9 years old, I was singing jingles and like church hymns. And so my dad really wanted me to record a couple of the church hymns that I had been singing forever. So I made my EP Safe and Sound at the same time as I made my album Courtyards and Aviaries Part 1, because my vision for my music was like, I want to record originals. I want to record songs that I've written about my life. And my dad was like, I just really want these songs that you've been singing, because I want them documented. So I decided that my first released project would be just some old hymns that I had done. And then I included one original on that EP. But I was making that one at the same time as I was making my album. So when I look back on him, I was like, wow, I bit off it was like a huge chunk of work to record 5-song EP and then a 9-song album. But that was the kind of the background around that one, was just that I wanted to document some of the hymns that I had been singing my whole life.
So, can you tell me more about the first album that released called Courtyard and Aviaries Part 1?
Yes. Okay. So that one, when you make your first album, it's kind of like pulling from songs that you've written for like up until you start recording. Whereas like a second album is like the songs you've written in between that album and now. So I was trying to pick my best songs from like the time that I had started. I mean, I've been writing songs my whole life, but like I think when I was around 14 was when I started writing songs that I felt like were actually, presentable and marketable and something that I could go and record. So from like 13, 14 to 16, 17, that's a lot of years to cover in songs. But I tried to pick what were my like best songs from that time frame. And I picked 9, and I had so many songs at that point that I was like, okay, I'm just going to do part 1, and then I'm going to record all the ones that I didn't record, like all these songs that I have had forever to do part 2. But by the time that I put out part 1, and I had learned so much about recording, and I had learned so much more about songwriting and grew so much in like, just in my life, everything that I wanted to say with my next album, I was like, I'm just going a completely different direction and writing new stuff for my second album that I put out was Courtyards and Aviaries Part 2. And so Part 1 was kind of a learning curve. It was me figuring out what I wanted to do with music, what I wanted to say, learning the ropes of recording and production and engineering. And so I had just had so many songs in that time frame that I wanted to break them up into 2 parts, but it didn't end up, fully converting over into that second half, because the second half is all new stuff.
So can you tell more about the Blue?
Oh yes, the Blue. Okay, so I was sitting like in a clean laundry that I was supposed to fold on my bed, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm going to write a song. And so I just started writing lyrics. That's how I procrastinate. And so I just started writing lyrics and couldn't really find a melody that I liked. But I was like, okay, I've got the lyrics and maybe I'll revisit it. And so I was sitting out in the car outside. My sister was renting a house at the time, and we had gone over to kind of help her move in. And I was sitting out in the car because we were about to leave. And I think I had ridden there with like my mom. And I was sitting out in the car and I remembered that. And I was like, oh, I finally have the melody for it. So I got out my phone and started like trying to sing my idea. And it's so funny to me because I downloaded GarageBand and like started trying to like document that melody, because I was like, I'm just sitting out in the car and I have no guitar and I have nothing. So just made up that idea and was like, this is the song. So when I started recording Part 2, I knew I wanted it to be on the album. I released it as a single. It was the first single from that album. And then it was nominated for Song of the Year. So I was like, wow, I'm so glad that I didn't want to fold laundry that day.
So can you tell me more about Courtyards and Aviaries Part 2?
So that whole album was a real labor of love. I was real dramatic about it. I was like, I know exactly what I want it to sound like, and I know exactly what I want it to say. And I spent a long time I wanted the songs to have a flow like that. You could not put those songs on any other project of mine. Like I wanted them to feel really cohesive, and I wanted it to feel like the songs went from one thing to another. It was an album that was really inspired by paintings and books that I love. J.W. Waterhouse paintings. I actually like recreated that his painting of Miranda in The Tempest as my single cover for it. My second single from that album was called To Narcissus, and it was a song that I had written about kind of like just wanting to tell people just be yourself, and like you'll find the right kind of people. Don't be just an echo in life. And so I wanted, and that one I kind of related back to Ovid's Metamorphosis, because the story of Echo and Narcissus is kind of the theme of the song. So I recreated J.W. Waterhouse, that picture, that painting of Echo and Narcissus for that single cover. And so it was an album that I really borrowed inspiration from and used it to kind of channel what I was going through at that period of my life. So that one was one where I hadn't yet found my identity as an artist, but I was trying to share my life in things that I related to in ways that I loved. And so that one was a really fun one to do. It was a lot of fun recreating things that I had been inspired by.
Does God feature in your life?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Does God, does it feature in your life?
God?
Yeah.
Yes. I got saved when I was 6 years old, and like from that moment, I just wanted to sing for the Lord, and he's been, I have a personal relationship with Christ, and my life is really centered around him. Especially in the last couple of years, I have like really developed a testimony of the ways that I have seen God's hand working in my life. And so he's definitely the reason why I do what I do, because he's who gave me a voice and ways to share it. But even if I wasn't, singing or anything, like he's still like the biggest fixture of my life. Yeah.
So, can you tell me more about When I Hear God's Call?
Oh, yes. Okay. So that one was, I had never really done a co-write before. And any ways that I had done a co-write was like, I wrote these lyrics and so did this person. Like it was like two people at the same time writing. I had never been pitched a song before. And I was like I had been pitched a song and ended up turning it down because I wanted my full discography to be what I had a hand in. I wanted it to be music that came from me. So a man from my church had approached me with his song and was like, I just really want you to sing it and record it. I have taken it to somebody and she's written a melody. She's written, parts and sheet music for my lyrics. Think about it. And I was like, I just don't think so, because I have already turned down another song because I don't like to sing. I mean, because I had done hymns and stuff, but I just felt like after that project, I was like, I really want to focus on putting out songs that I am, because I want to tell my story. And so I was like a little bit of a doubter, and I started like just like looking over the lyrics at home, and I heard this whole other melody to it, and I was like, man, because he's already taken it to somebody else and he's probably happy with what she's done. And so I don't want to, push into like, be like, can I change this melody? But I did eventually, like, I recorded my idea and I sent it to, just me playing the piano and singing the song, and sent it to him. And I was like, is this something that you would even consider doing? Like, would you be open to me rewriting this melody? And he was down for it and he loved it. And so we got in the studio and recorded it. And it just feels like something that came from me. And it feels like it was just something that was like totally God led, because like he had the lyrics and I had the melody, and then we were able to merge it. And it fortunately has touched a lot of lives. And that's a song that, it's crazy to me to see, like, when people send me something, send me messages about like that song had moved them, or that song had helped them during a time where they lost a loved one or something. So it's just amazing to see the way that God uses, you can bring two people together on a common cause. And so that's the story of that one.
They continue about Garden of Eden.
Garden of Eden is a song that I wrote about when you find a love that like you don't want to mess up, and you feel a lot of pressure to make no mistakes. And so it kind of feels like it's a ticking time bomb. Like that something is going to poison it. Something's going to ruin it. And so I was writing that, kind of relating it back to the Garden of Eden. Like everything is so perfect and it's too good to be true. And I just, one day it's not going to be there anymore. And so kind of a sad song, but kind of an upbeat one. It was my first venture outside of folk. So I felt like it was a little bit more soulful than I had done before. And it's one of my favorites to perform.
So can you tell me more about your live EP that you've done?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I had written a whole lot of songs for my latest album, Southern Gothic Romance. And I wasn't sure exactly which ones were going to make the album and which ones weren't. And so when I first write a song, I feel like that's the purest form of it as it came from me. Then whenever we go record it and we get like other input, like we produce the track, we change chords, we change lyrics, we sit with it a long time, and we spend a long time like over analyzing it to make sure that it's something we want to release and is good enough to release. That's when it becomes, the final product that I'm super proud of. But like, this is where it starts, is also like something that I like to have at least documented for myself. And so I took a couple of songs I knew we were already recording, and then a couple songs that I wasn't sure where they were going to land. almost all of them came out on the album later. But Rolling Stone, that's a song that's on that EP that I haven't really done anything with other than that live performance. But I had gone to Freedom Academy of Music Education, where I do songwriting coaching and vocal coaching. And the owner, he and his wife, Scotty and Tara Marcus, own the place. And so Scotty Marcus filmed it and then recorded it as I played. And so I got I got a couple videos from it and put it out as a live EP. And so it wasn't one that I really pushed. I didn't really announce it all that much. I was just kind of like, this is it. This is a project that I've done because I just wanted it to be a documentation of the songs that I was kind of changing. But I'm really glad I did, because Rolling Stone would have no home if I hadn't put out that EP.
So can you tell me more about Guitar Prayers?
That one was a co-write that I had done with, I had been on his radio show. Jesse did a radio show I had been on for a while. I had been interviewed. And so he had messaged me and asked if I wanted to do a co-write, because he wanted to do a project of just co-writes and features of with other artists, because he's also an artist. And we got together and wrote Guitar Prayers. He had the idea and then had a couple lyrics, and then we just kind of took those lyrics and pushed them onto the final product. And I was super proud of the way it came out. It's just a song about what it means to be a songwriter and how it feels, because it feels like sometimes whenever you're performing a song that you have written, it's kind of like bearing your soul to a whole bunch of people. And then but it's also such a sacred thing, because music is so important. And you have no idea who's in the audience who needs what you what only you can say. Because there are some times where, somebody can say exactly the same thing, somebody can say this, but it takes the one person where you're like, that's the person I needed to tell me that, because that's when I heard it. That's what I've been waiting for. And so as a songwriter, you might be the person who can put it into words that somebody's like, okay, finally, I understand the emotion that I've been going through, because somebody was able to put it into words in the way that I needed to hear it. So it's such a sacred ground. And so we just related it back to a church, Alone in the Sixth String church, a guitar, sixth string, and just kind of related it back to chapel and prayer and the way that a song can move people. So it was a really cool song that kind of came in an hour or two. And so we were really proud.
So can you tell me more about Southern Gothic Romance single?
Yes, that's my new my new single, but it's also the name of my album. I just put it out in October, and it's basically, I just really love William Faulkner. I love Flannery O'Connor, and I have been reading a lot of those books, but there's so much change going on in my area. I live in Georgia, which is, Bible Belt of this, of Georgia, of America. And so we're experiencing a great deal of change right now, and expansion. So, I guess I would say development. So there's a lot of, apartment complexes going up, a lot of old farms going away. And so I wanted to kind of latch on to the cool, eerie Southern Gothic vibe that I had noticed kind of taking a shift, kind of going away, because it's a cool aesthetic in my opinion. And so I had written basically just about my life. It's probably my most honest documentation of my life, but I expressed it in the aesthetic of Southern Gothic. So that whole album and that single is just, I really have no explanation for where it came from. I wrote it in 2019 when I had a cold, so I sound really sick in the work tape of it. But it's just a song that talks about a man driving into town and making a lot of bad choices, because that's the South.
So can you tell me more about Lightning?
Lightning is a song that I wrote about a past relationship that I was in. And the first take of it, the first lyrics, the original lyrics, were just a conversation that he and I had, just basically word for word, because I thought it was like cute or whatever. And then when I went to record it, we ended up changing the entire first verse, changed a little bit of the melody. And then I got to film. I've always wanted to film a music video at the beach. And so I was so excited because I actually got to film a music video on the beach for that one. And it's one of the songs I'm most proud of on the album, just because of like how it's kind of a chameleon, because it starts off like you feel like, the lyrics are, I think I caught lightning in the palm of my hand. Like, what were the odds? What were the chances I would find this person? And everything is so good. But it also kind of veers to be like, in the middle of this storm, like it's not all that happy of a situation to be in. And so it's kind of an interesting, at first glance, it's like a love song. Listening to it a little bit deeper feels like this is maybe not a love song, more of a documentation of how it feels to be kind of in something a little toxic. So I love chameleon songs. I love songs that can change to fit where you are in your life or in your relationship. But I also think it kind of breaks the mold of the album that I was making, because I was making everything sound super folky, super country. And then that one is just a little bit out of the box. And so it's still one of my faves.
So could you tell me more about your latest album called Southern Gothic Romance?
Yes. So it is a visual album. So that I wanted to incorporate every art form that I could possibly add. So I have 12 music videos, because there's 12 songs. So I have a music video for every single song, and they move like chapters. And so I've released 6 of those videos, I think, at this point. And so I have 6 more, and I'm super excited for them to all be released. I'm hoping like whenever I put out all the videos, I could do a screening, because I'd like for it to be seen the way that it's meant to be seen, like with the, all flowing together instead of piece by piece. But I also have poems for the songs, and paintings, visuals, visualizers, just try to incorporate as much as I could to help set that stage. And so it was a lot of work, but I'm really, really proud of the final product.
So can you tell me more about your latest single called Up the Mountain?
Yeah, so Up the Mountain started out as a song called Angels, with a totally different melody and totally different words, like completely different. And so as we recorded it, I was just like, this track is so beautiful, and I don't feel like the words and the melody are good enough for the track that we've made. Like I just didn't feel like it aligned. And I also felt like I could make something a little bit more Southern Gothic. I felt like what I had originally said could have fit on any, like these lyrics could like the lyrics for Angel, the original, could have come from anybody, could have been on any project. But Up the Mountain is a song that I feel like could have only come from me at that part of my life. So Up the Mountain is a song that's just basically about, I think that metaphorically, it's basically this, it sounds like a ghost saying how she died, and like wanting to be taken and buried with her ancestors, taken up the mountain basically. And but I think metaphorically it's not an actual death. Like what I'm talking about is kind of losing yourself, losing your identity in a relationship where it feels like you're dying, like yourself is going away in favor of something else. You're just like, I just want to be lifted up into a safer space, into a higher ground. And so that one's one where it's a little bit of like you have to decode it. But Up the Mountain is so haunting, and it's one of my favorites too. It was my favorite music video that I made. Actually, that's not true, but it's one of my top 5 of the 12 that I made, because I was able to it's the one that's most representative of where I am from in Georgia. So I filmed these music videos across 7 states. And then this one was one that was just Georgia. And so I thought it was, the one that felt like the most where I'm from.
So, have you got any plans for the future, like next year?
So many. I'm so excited. So, we're currently in the process of booking shows for all through next year, and it's looking like it's going to be a really fun, fantastic year. So I can't wait to share more details about like where you can see me live. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to get a lot of comments on Facebook and stuff asking like, can I come to this state? Can I come here? Can I come? And so I really hope that in the new year I can plan more of a tour, because I'm seeing a lot of people hoping that I'll come to their area, and I really want to go perform there. I think that'd be so cool. So that's what I'm planning and hoping for. And I've already started recording. So I just released my new album in October, but I've already started recording new stuff and working on, co-writes with some really cool other some other artists who are so cool. And I can't wait to put those out. So there's a lot to stay tuned for.
So, can you tell me, how's independent artists for you?
Oh, phenomenal. I love it. It's not where I hope to stay forever, but I have wanted to be an independent artist until I earned because like once you kind of get signed, there's often if you haven't developed enough of your image or enough of a personality publicly, then you're kind of like owned, like we're dictating to you what you need to be and what you need to sing and all this stuff. And so I love the freedom that I have to be able to create what I want to create and say what I want to say with music. That's always been really important to me with my message. My mission statement has always been to spread a message of hope. And so that's kind of the channel that I put most things through. And so I have definitely appreciated the freedom that it has brought me, and it is a lot of work. And so I'm always like trying to like help and build up other independent artists, because you have to be everything for your when somebody else has a team, you are like yourself. And so it's so cool to see a lot of growth in my music this year, and seeing people like be so generous with their support. And because as an independent artist, we put a lot of effort and energy into making things. And so, I love it personally.
And finally, can you tell my listeners where can I find you on social media?
Yes. Okay. So my Facebook has the most followers right now. So it would be super cool if I could get it a little higher. So you can find me Jayna Jennings. And there's a lot of fake profiles right now that I'm trying to get taken down. So I hope that you find the actual page of me. But I'm also on Instagram. I'm not on Twitter anymore because my Twitter got hacked, and now it's a Bitcoin page. And I'm still mad about it because I couldn't get it back. And I literally submitted help requests and everything and nothing. Okay, so and then also I have a website, JaynaJennings.com, and I would love it if you guys would follow me, and like that way we can stay in touch and you can see what's coming up next.
Thank you for letting me chat to you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.